Speaking of accusations, Speaker Gingrich, when you were in Congress, you had 74 claims against you of ethnic violation. How do you explain that to the American people?
It was the massive left-wing conspiracy. There's simply no other way to put it. I took Congress away from the Democrats. After 40 years in the wilderness, I led the Republican insurgents in 1994. We took back the House by an enormous margin. Of course, they couldn't let that happen again in the next elections leading up to the new millennium. So, of course, they planted evidence. It was the left-wing conspiracy.
My question is directed to a former Senator Rick Santorum. Now, as a mom, I know what it is to have a family. But what is your plan to do with jobs, and how will you get the economy moving back on track other than family?
Well, I think there are a lot of different ways we can look into this. And I'm actually continuing to talk with my advisors on what would be the best plan to bring the jobs back to the United States. But one thing's for sure, when we go with the Obama administration's policies of mandating health care and such things as that, we are only stripping away jobs as we limit the freedom. And I think we need to concentrate on those areas as we seek to help people with their jobs.
All right. Would you like to pose a question to our candidate?
Yes, I have a question for you, Mr. Gingrich. And specifically in a debate earlier this year, you stated that we should, instead of just handing out money to other countries that need our assistance, we should negotiate with them at the beginning of the year to decide on whether they should get money or whether they should not get money in social assistance from the United States. What would be the impact on nations that did not receive our support for the people of
You're
that
speaking
nation?
about foreign aid in general?
Yes.
Well, the impact would obviously vary. If in many countries, including corrupt nations in Asia and Africa, our foreign assistance simply goes directly to their military programs or their leaders. Often, when they can't justify that, they will lose that aid, and that will be a net plus to our security. If they're trying to chip us out of our foreign aid, they have no right to be doing that.
All right, that concludes our round of questioning. The candidates questioning each other. I would like to move on to a very brief round on social issues, beginning with Governor Huntsman. Governor Huntsman, in a controversial manner, you have advocated civil unions for gay couples. Undoubtedly, this is not popular among a conservative audience. Do you think this hurts your chances of getting the nomination?
No, I don't think so at all. Because if you look at the other areas, the other social issues, if you will, that I've supported, and the laws that I've passed in the state of Utah, specifically prohibiting gay marriage, I think that's the real big issue, not the civil unions. I think that gay couples are a human tragedy, and I don't think that they should be supported by our laws in any way, and I don't think that will affect my vote whatsoever.
Interesting. Congressman Paul, should the government be in the marriage business at all?
Not at all. The government, just like with taxes, just like with families, just like with education, needs to get out of marriage. If the gay couple wants to marry, that's okay. Well, that should be left to the state and the local governments. But the federal government should not be legislating upon marriage. The federal government is meant to defend the United States, and it's meant to control interstate commerce. It is not meant to control marriages. It's not meant to be in the marriage business. We need to get completely out of that and let the states decide, not the federal government.
Congresswoman Bachman, should marriage be a state issue, a federal issue, a church issue, or just a family issue?
I believe that the problem that we are dealing with in today's day and age is that of President Obama. He is not doing anything to aid in this issue. We must make him a one-term president. But when I was former congressman of Minnesota, I believe that for children, the best possible to raise a child is to have both a mother and a father. And as a mom, I know this, and this is true.
All right. Governor Kerry, in a recent television advertisement, which is now the most disliked video on YouTube, you stated that President Obama has been waging a war on religion. How so?
He's a Muslim, right?
Now, right there. America should be a Christian country. Our founding fathers
for all Christians. We need to be doing what's right for the country, adhering to what the Bible tells us. And President Obama, as a Muslim, has not been doing that, obviously.
All right, excellent. Senator Sanders. All the candidates here on the stage today claim to be pro-life. Why should we believe that you are the best equipped candidate to make abortion illegal?
Well, first of all, I'll get to that question. But first of all, I think I should have a chance to get on the question of marriage. And I'd like to just say a bit about what Mr. Paul said, specifically that the United States should keep its hands out of marriage. I agree 100%. But marriage is the union between a man and a woman. That is what we need to keep our hands out of. If we let marriage go beyond that, then in our legislation, we're protecting the rights of people who are in the end, that those unions are harming our society. And I'll get on to your question. And specifically, all of these candidates can stand up and say they've been pro-life, well, most of them, based on the boxes that they've checked. But I have not just been checking the boxes.
Let me weigh in here.
I'm sorry. Let me just finish my statement. I have been leading the way with many different pieces of legislations. For example, the Born Alive Infant Protection Act. I've started these acts. I've led the way. I haven't just checked the boxes.
All right, Congresswoman Bachman, you want to weigh in?
Yes, this is very important because I'm the most pro-life candidate on this stage today. I've given birth to 5 babies who have 23 foster come through my home. I believe in the dignity of life from conception until natural death. I'm more qualified in the subject than Santorum is because of my personal experience.
Would I be able to respond to that?
Yes, you do have 30 seconds.
Yes, so Mrs. Bachman has presented her side, but I also like to say I am credible by her weighing mechanisms. I would also be credible in this area. I have 7 children, and my wife and I homeschool all 7. We have seen.
Splits. I must weigh in here.
All right.
I am the one who has given birth to 5 babies. I am the one who is credible in this issue.
All right. Governor Kerry, you...
I'd just like to say that I'm the most credible person on this stage because Congresswoman Bachman is saying that she gave birth to 5 babies. Santorum is saying he has 5 children. I'm the most credible. I've given birth to 8 babies.
I voted yes on banning federal health care coverage, including abortion. I authored this bill. I have authored many bills talking about abortion and how people must be pro-life. None other candidates on this stage have had any say in this. They haven't voted for it. They haven't authored any bills. I have pure evidence and empirics that I've done this in the past. And when I am elected into office as President of the United States, I will always enforce this.
All right, excellent. Let's move on to another brief round, that on political issues and your record. Let's go down the aisle real quick and pose another question. If you each had to choose one other candidate on stage as your running mate, who would that be? Starting with Governor Huntsman.
I choose Mitt Romney because his policies are the most like my policies, and my policies are the best.
I think I would choose Michelle Bachmann because she believes in the Constitution as I do. She believes in liberty, that the federal government should not be inside liberty. They should get out of that. So if I had to choose someone on the stage, I would choose her.
Governor Barrett.
I would choose Herman Cain. I see you, brother.
Governor Romney.
I would also choose Herman Cain. He's hilarious. He's obviously pro-family and pro-pizza. I would choose Governor Perry because, let's be honest, the debates between him and Biden would be awesome.
I would choose Governor Romney because he's the only one who has successful business experience of the rest of the candidates, like me.
I stood up for you, brother.
Congresswoman Bachman.
I would choose also Cain on my left here for the reason that I can turn his 999 plan into a win-win-win.
Using 999, of course.
Well, it's very difficult for me to say, as all of the candidates are to the left of me. I would probably choose Gingrich because he has exceptional expertise in the area of international affairs.
All right. Speaking of the speaker, Gingrich, I have a question for you. You earned $1.6 million as a historian for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. What is involved specifically in being a historian at America's mortgage lenders? And are you really in a position to create reform at those corrupt institutions?
Yes, well, first of all, what's involved is going back through their books and figuring out which senators and figuring out where they spent their money in the private sector, and figuring out where we could cut down that spending, and also figuring where their best investments paid off, and which investments provided the most return and the most votes on the board of directors. Yes.
All right, excellent. Governor Romney. No, actually, someone already asked you that question. Congressman Paul, if you are not nominated for the Republican nomination, will you consider running on a third-party ticket?
It's a difficult question. I thought about it in the past, but I don't think I would. I think I would wait for the next election with the Republicans, and I would fight again then to have my views heard on liberty and freedom, just as I have in the last umpteen.
How old will you be 4 years ago?
I'm not sure. I've lost count.
Excellent. Senator Santorum, many have criticized you as unelectable if nominated against President Obama. Can you beat President Obama in the election? And should electability be a primary consideration in choosing our nominee?
Well, I think in answering that question, we have to look back at the track record. And I have a track record of beating difficult Democratic incumbents. For example, when I first came into Congress, I put out a Democratic incumbent who had been there for 12 years. I have a record of doing it. And while it should be a factor of whether a person can win, I believe that I can win this election if I'm nominated.
Innocent. I need to weigh in here.
All right, go for it.
I believe that I can beat President Obama if it comes to that. And the reason I can is I have appeal to moms here. Moms out there, is your mortgage underwater? I can help you with that. Just vote for them.
Hey, Blitz. Does it work? Does it work for me too? Or do you have to be a mom?
Blitz. You weigh in on your electability. You consider yourself a straight-talking candidate who is able to get right to the heart of the matter to the American people. Are you able to beat President Trump?
Yes. The reason for this is because I have experience as a private businessman. Obama was a senator, and now he's a president that has failed America. He was never a businessman. And to beat Obama, we need someone who connects with the American people, who can look them in the eye and say that I will help businesses and I will help you. And that's me, because I have the record on businesses the best out of all the candidates here, and way better than President Obama.
Governor Romney, you also have a substantial business background, and you have touted electability as one of your strong points compared to the rest of your candidates. However, the personal element that Herman Cain is talking about has been one of your criticisms. How do you think you will be able to adapt and connect with the average voter?
Honestly, the remainder of the candidates here are so unelectable that they will gradually fall away, and I'll be the only one remaining. Personality